So we have a picture here of Rabbi Yosef Chaim Mimran, Rabbi Y.C. Mimran. This is what he looked like a few years ago. I haven't seen him in a while. I know that I don't get older like other people do, but other people get older. So exactly what he looks like today, gets a little bit more white. Let's come over here and let's see where he started. He says the soul can be felt as the ever-present I am. That is beyond name and form. Now this concept that he's trying to talk about is really a difficult one for me. I understand what he's saying. He says that everything that we see, we live in a world of illusions. We don't really know which end is up. And what is important, what isn't. And so therefore we have street names, and we have streets themselves. And so, we drive around and we do whatever we do in that world, but that's all the world of name and form. There's another world beyond that. And that's where you find the soul, which is ever present. He's beyond that name and form. Now, let's come over here and let's see what the next part of this book is. This next piece, he says, beyond the word, simple and secret meanings. Wow. So now we're taking a piece from the Chassid Yavitz. I knew some people when I grew up named Yavitz. It's the same name. They would say, how can it be that one born of a woman formed from a lowly drop can merit to be attached to the Creator of all things? That's a good question. To this King David answered, also in my eyes originally, it was hard to understand who can dwell in your dwelling place. However, I shall describe in a beautiful way how to understand this. Hashem commanded us commandments and good statutes, where through them we may live forever and merit to be attached to Him, as in the verse, and you are attached. Now, here's what he says. He says, how could it be possible to believe, to dwell in Hashem's place? Because it is so pure, so without motive, and so clean. He says, however, I should describe in a beautiful way how to understand this. Hashem commanded us commandments and good statutes, which through them we may live forever. In other words, do the mitzvahs, and merit to be attached to Him, as in the verse, and you are attached. The statutes help to complete the soul. The man who merits to keep the Torah will connect his lower soul with his spirit, and in turn his spirit with his higher soul, and his higher soul with Hashem, etc., etc., etc. As it says, and the soul of my master will be tied up with the source of life, Hashem. Now let's see what Rabbi Mimran has to say. That was the Chassid Yavitz. It was on Tehillim number 15. The 15th Psalm. Over the centuries, our great sages have written many priceless interpretations and commentaries explaining the simple meanings of the words of our Holy Torah. Nevertheless, if you are unable to look beyond such interpretations, and so cannot recognize the reality to which the word points, then you are missing the deeper and essential reality of the Torah itself. The way to elevate and increase your level of understanding is not to get particularly stuck on the simple interpretations of the words. Rather, understand that the words are more than just the means to an end. Not unlike a signpost, it points beyond itself. For example, let's just say, let's see what he means. The word grape isn't a grape. You can study and talk about grapes for as long as you like, but you won't really know it until you taste it, that is, the grape. After you have tasted it, the word becomes less important to you. You won't be attached to it anymore. Similarly, you can talk or think about God continuously for the rest of your life, but does that mean you know or have even glimpsed the reality, to me the experience, to which the word points? The verse also implies if for whatever reason you dislike the word grape, that might prevent you from ever tasting it. If you had a strong aversion to the word God, you might be denying not just the word, but also the reality to which it points. You could be cutting yourself off from the possibility of experiencing that reality. Consequences. As long as you are run by the egoic mind, you are part of the collective insanity. Perhaps you haven't looked very deeply into the human condition in a state of dominance by the egoic mind. Open your eyes and see the fear, the despair, the greed, and the violence that are all pervasive everywhere. See the atrocious cruelty and suffering of it on an unimaginable scale that humans have inflicted and continue to inflict on each other, as well as on other life forms on the planet. That, he says, is insanity. That is unconsciousness. Above all, don't forget to observe your own mind. Seek out the root of the insanity there. To become conscious of the soul, you need to reclaim consciousness from the mind. This is one of the most essential tasks on your spiritual journey. It will free vast amounts of consciousness and that previously had been trapped in useless and compulsive thinking. A very effective way of doing this is simply to take the focus of your attention away from thinking and direct it into the body, where the soul can be felt in the first instance as the invisible energy field that gives life to what you perceive as the physical body. Now that last part, let me just read it again. I think we have time to say it one more time. He says, let me see this. Oh, we're okay. A very effective way of doing this is simply to take the focus of your attention away from thinking and direct it into the body. For example, watch yourself breathe. I went through this with Rabbi Mimran. Feel your toes. Understand the connection between your toes and the nerves that bring the ability to be able to move them. So, into the body, where the soul could be felt in the first instance as the invisible energy field that gives life to what you perceive as the physical body. In other words, what is that energy that allows me to feel my toes? Now, let's come down here closer and let's see this little blurb here. Let me get it focused. There we go. He says, the way to elevate and increase your level of understanding is not to get particularly stuck on the simple interpretation of the words. Rather, understand that the words are more than just the means to an end. This is Baruch Fleischman. That is Rabbi Yosef Chaim Mimran. What do we call this book? The Ultimate Connection with God. 7-step guide to Jewish spirituality. And we're about, I think, to get into a different mode here. Tomorrow we'll begin with the concept of how to connect. Now, these are actually Jewish meditation techniques. Something that we can all do, because we need to, the way that he has laid this out about the egoic mind and about our ability to be able to see. It really will help us tremendously in difficult situations. So, this is Baruch again. Thank you very much for being here.